Hello, everybody. It's me. It's the Nutty Professor, and this is how most of my podcasts start these days, with a wriggly, squirmy child. And you've already, okay, wriggle, wriggle, go. Now, you've already seen, I already showed you Agita, my older cat, in her travel case in her room. The travel case is open, but that's her way of practicing social distance. She is, after all, the social distancing queen. So she's sitting in her travel case in her room. So I showed you her. But I showed you one of the babies, one of the Mayhem Twins, sitting outside her room trying to get in to create some mayhem in there. And then there'd be some, hissing on her part. And then the other Mayhem Twin was just on my lap, and he wriggled off. And I start podcast also with my mask, just to remind people. Pandemic, and it's my nice black mask, and also because wearing the mask at the start of the podcast pisses off a friend of mine who's an anti-masker in another country. He kind of gets upset every time I send him a podcast, and he goes, "Why are you wearing a mask inside? Why are you encouraging this insanity?" So just to kind of annoy him and to remind people you should really wear your masks, And I have my nice black mask. Now, it has been a month and a half since the last podcast. And the last podcast was 1 year clear. And it is now 1 year plus 1.5 months. So 13.5 months clear. And I'm back to doing these self-tape podcasts, with holding up this thing. So it's the first post 1 year clear podcast, 13.5 months. And the good news is I am still clear. Everything is fine. The bad news is that the cravings actually increased a bit after the 1 year podcast, And I discussed this with my analyst in the last Zoom session a couple of weeks ago, and he wasn't too surprised to hear it. And I think in previous podcasts, I did say there's a bit of a danger of celebrating 1 year clear, because then you might have a little overconfidence and there's a bit of feeling of anticlimax afterwards. And it's kind of what happened. I mean, after the 1 year, and it was very positive feedback from former students and others on that podcast. And then after that, the cravings actually increased a little bit. And as my analyst says, part of the problem is that I had a goal, a big goal, which I achieved. A lot of effort, a lot of energy. And then once you achieve the goal, it's like, what next? And it's like, there's a little bit of, oh, I've achieved my goal. Now I think I deserve a little binge. And I know that there's no such thing as a little binge for me now. My level of addiction, it's going to be big and it's going to be bad. And, there's no way, So in my framework, remember, it's pushes and pulls. So the good news is the pushes are still stronger than the pull. The pull to go out and binge, So the pushes, and the main pushes, are the ones that you've just seen, my kids, and I got the babies while I was battling last year. A year ago, I went clean before the pandemic started, and the pandemic actually, in a way, helped, because it was, when a friend of mine said that sort of the lockdown was sort of a silver lining for me, because it helped me stay clear, dangers in the drug world. And then I started volunteering to help cats, rescue cats during the pandemic, following the protocols. And then I fostered, and then I foster failed with the babies, and I adopted them, and they're wonderful, wonderful kids, and I love them really very much, and they're very attached to me. And the whole dynamics here of the family, and the older sister who kind of looks at them disdainfully, and all of that, it's working out well. But they are my main pushes. Now, another push has been the COVID dangers, and the COVID dangers out in the drug world, people not wiping surfaces, substances being mixed due to close borders, and depths that way, and it's like so the when the cravings get really strong, I mean, the main thing that keeps me from the main two things have been the babies and the Gita and the COVID dangers out there, and now that kind of leads me to another point, because and the whole thing with the COVID dangers is, yes, I know how damaging it is and how it's been negative for most people, but as I've said, it's kind of worked in that weird ways that possibly due to the lockdown and COVID, it's kept me clear. I may be here because of all of that. So it's kind of one of those little weird thingies. However, a couple of downsides. One of the downsides of the lockdown and the isolation. I pretty much live in isolation anyway. It didn't really affect me. However, occasionally I would like to go out to see movies when the cravings are strong. I'd go to see a movie. I'd go out to eat. I can't do that. So that just increases the cravings. Just staying at home all the time, and I'm just, so when shops opened, and I had been doing curbside pickup for cat food at PetSmart, and I don't really like it, but I go online and I click on the cart, and I prefer the real cart, but I was doing it, and when the shops reopened, I went and I bought cat food and treats and toys in person, and I also went to Canadian Tire because I had to buy some car stuff, and I was been postponing it until we could do in-store shopping, and I walk in and I was so excited, to be in the Canadian Tire and to be actually shopping, that I bought shit that I didn't need. I was walking along and there's this fry pan on sale. It's supposed to be for eggs. I don't even fry eggs anymore, but there was this fry pan, and it was reduced from 50 to 10. Might have been a scam, but anyway, it was like, and I was like going, it looked like a nice fry pan, and I said, oh, buy that, and I bought some other things, and I bought some car stuff, and I'm so excited. Now, and I came home, yeah, so that was good, but then the werewolf was like going, I don't want to fry pans. I went, but anyway, that actually leads me to the next thing, is that a friend of mine, an older friend, in her 70s, I mentioned her in the previous podcast, they're not eligible for, she and her husband not eligible for the vaccines, COVID vaccines yet, but she suggested that I take, there's a AstraZeneca vaccine for the 60 to 64-year-olds, which I fall in that group, the lower end, but I fall in that range. And it's kind of odd. I'm like going, how come the older people who you would think need it more, or the strong frontline workers, and I'm not a frontline worker, I'm retired, I wouldn't feel really comfortable about taking this thing, before other people who I think need it more. But apparently it's not been tested with people over 65, or not enough studies. So they're only offering it in Canada, in Ontario, to 60 to 64. In other countries, it's 55 and up. And apparently there may be some side effects. And for me, the other main reason that I'm not taking it, and I pretty much decided, I am going to discuss it with my analyst and my doctor, but I pretty much decided not to take it because, for one thing, I would prefer people who need it more to get it, and for the other, it would actually, I think, hurt me because it will increase the cravings, because that will remove one of my pushes. It's going to be like, now then I'd be like going, oh, even if they're not wiping down stuff in in the drug world, and I'm okay now because I've got the vaccine, and now the last remaining main push will be the kids, will be the 3 kids, and I think it'll be strong enough. But why increase the cravings? And in terms of the actual COVID dangers, as I said, I practice my social distance. I've learned from the Queen, and I wear my mask. I use a lot of hand sanitizer. I'm very, very careful. I'm mostly at home anyway. I only go out to buy a fry pan, cat food and groceries, and following all the protocols. So I think I'm pretty sure I'm not going to take it, So that's one of the things I wanted to mention. On the whole, things are positive. I am still clear. It's 13 and a half months. The cravings went up, as I said, because I achieved that goal, and there's a little bit of overconfidence, and there's all of that stuff. But, the pushes were stronger than the pulls, and the two main pushes were the kids and the COVID dangers out in that world. So, and I think I'm not going. One of the reasons I'm not going to take the vaccine. So at least for now, not this AstraZeneca, and not for now. For now, I'm going to continue the way I am. So I will. This will be a two-parter, three-parter. I will keep you posted a bit ongoing developments. But for now, all is well. And from the Mayhem Twins, the social distancing queen, and myself. Bye for now. See you next podcast.